Hey, it's Sarah Jane with your Wednesday midweek boost of True Nature Medicine. So how's it been going for you this week? I know that a lot of you, there seems to be a constant theme, no matter where you are in the world. I've had some beautiful mails coming in, some beautiful affirmation of this beautiful interconnected place. Hi Anjana, hi Jordan, nice to see you here. Where either there's been languaging of fires, wildfires burning in Neisner in South Africa, wildfires burning in England. I spoke to my friend Kimberly Lavelle yesterday, and in fact, which reminds me, I'm speaking on her podcast today. So if you feel like you want another extra boost of love, go ahead and join Kimberly Lavelle and I over on her podcast. And yeah, so I never know. You guys know me when I go on these live videos. You can't go on live without typing something in. So I really wanted to speak to this theme that's sort of been coming up more about these wildfires, or these fires, literally lives being burned to the ground, habitat being burned to the ground, and the metaphorical fire of burning up all the things internally in our internal gardens, where perhaps we haven't been as mindful of maintaining or pruning back or cutting. And as we go into winter in South Africa, in the southern hemisphere, how this is a time of going down deep down into the roots and just loving that space of contraction, of knowing when there's a good time to move. Hi Paula, nice to see you here. So this thing around love, I think sometimes we get so misidentified and confused around what it means to love the wildfire in you, or to be able to stoke the fire. Oh no, it says low power mode, so I could lose you right now. I'm sitting in the car waiting for my daughter. And what if you could just sort of change that into a space of going, I don't love myself right now, or I am afraid right now, or I am wondering what the big picture or the big message in the mess is for you, and loving that you don't. So some of the ways, hi Christina, that I like to do this is I can go deep down and I can feel what I'm feeling from a place of the global collection right now, fires that are out of control, people losing everything, a lot of disease and sickness and chaos and emergency going on around us. And maybe you can relate to this on some level in your own life, and loving that part of you, feeling it and loving it anyway. I was speaking to a client yesterday who has some jet lag, and she said, oh my gosh, my body really doesn't travel well. It swells up, and she gets a lot of water retention. And when we started to explore with the curiosity of the place that doesn't love that my body is puffed up, and as women, our body is very in touch with the moon and the elements of water, that in a full moon, it's ripe with possibilities. It's the harvest time. The full moon is that time when our body really gets in touch with these water emotion of water and feeling, and a lot of existential fear and control, which is governed by the bladder and the kidney. So if you're finding it difficult to love parts of yourself right now, if you're perhaps kind of feeling like it's difficult to love, or you're finding it hard to love people in your life, or situations, or the old stories that you're perhaps not willing to let go of yet, to look at it with compassion, to treat yourself with kindness, to tread gently on the soil of your inner landscape and go deep down, because love is bigger than anything that you are identifying as that you can't love. And again, this goes back to your pre-7-year-old who created the coping mechanisms and the stories and the ways that she was showing up in the world based on this place of not feeling loved or not being heard. So just know that going is good, and sometimes we need to pause to get our shit together, and that's just part of the messy and human thing, where sometimes you have got a mouse in your mouth and you're pushing down your emotions and you're not willing to feel them. Am I making sense? Hi Yvonne. So, deep down, go there and love it anyway. And just know that you get the choice to make up your mind by getting out of your mind, clearing the space and dropping down into your heart, because there's nothing to catch up to. There's nothing to do. And I've sort of been feeling that this week. If any of you did my Believe Challenge, when I dared you to do something that was out of your comfort zone, I've sort of been stepping into something like that myself this last week, and it felt like fun and light energy in my head. It felt like, oh yeah, that feels like fun, because one of the things that I've been asking to lean into trusting is that there is enough time to play more. There's enough time to not have to be working all the time. And as this sort of thing has unfolded, and I can't really speak about it yet, but as it's been unfolding, there's been this old voice in my head that the more real it started to become, the more afraid I was of trusting that this might not be what I want. So the wisdom and the fear to just slow down and to just feel into it, and maybe ask more questions and look at what support I need, and just hold myself in compassion if the love was just impossible, to love the part that was afraid, that maybe I had bitten off more than I could chew, that I had taken a whole mouse and just tail was sticking out of my mouth, and I was like, either I could swallow or I can spit it out, but I still have the choice to choose how I'm going to move in how this whole thing unfolds, and be willing to stay uncomfortable in it, and not be forcing things or going into excessive over training or over planning or preparing it and feeling guilty when I don't, but to really go deep down, because that's where the transformation really happens. Is this resonating with you? I hope I'm making sense. And I hope I don't lose you because my battery's flat. But just to, I think my message today really was to just say to you what I've been saying to the parts of me that I don't particularly love, and my client who was not loving, that her water was holding on, her body was holding on to an incredible amount of water, because there was things that she's up leveling in her life, and part of traveling to another country and opening up a different perspective was bringing up a lot of fear around her next big leap, right? We talked about the jumping mouse the other day, I think on Monday, where it's just like sometimes the big jumps are actually the small steps, and it's the incremental shifts that we have to make day to day that allows us to just soften and go deep down and be in the discomfort of it, knowing that it's just temporary. To have the tenderness with ourselves when we least feel like we deserve it, when we're not feeling confident, or perhaps we're not feeling stable, or we feel like we're on shifting quicksand, and we're not particularly loving ourselves, that self-love thing, where we don't go to the opposite or the inside of unlove, but we go into a place of not treating ourselves gently and treading gently on the soil of what we're creating. So I don't know if anyone has any. We'll come back and listen later. I'm spooling. Okay, well, I'm sitting in my car, so do that, Christina. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you here. So where are you looking at? Maybe you're in a leadership role, and if you just again go back to sort of the messages that horses and animals that live in packs teach us. If you're perhaps finding yourself in a position of leadership right now, there has to be this huge amount of self-trust first for you to be able to hold this space to lead, and also the herd that trusts you to lead them wherever you're going. And nature really trusts that we have everything that we need to do it. So what I like to do when I'm starting to distrust, or I'm starting to doubt that this is really what I'm asking for, or that maybe this isn't the time that it needs to happen, is to just get really curious and notice and ask the question of what energy can I partner with in this moment of this decision or this choice or whatever it is that's unfolding, to lean into, to trust my ideas, to go and really have faith in the visions, whether that's how you see your life tomorrow or in the next 6 months or the next year, so that you can take guided action and trust your intuition. And I also like to ask, how can I be held? How can I be held in a greater space, knowing that the universe really has my back? So some examples of that really are to look at, acknowledge first of all that you are the leader of your own life. You are the leader of your pack. And regardless of who follows or who's coming with you, trust that you're going to go anyway, and ask for the space to be reflected back to you of what it is that you're asking for. Is this making sense? I hope so. I don't see any comments here, but give me some love, give me some hearts. Tell me if this is resonating with you. And for those of you that might be joining this conversation who have no idea who I am, I see myself as an intuitive medicine guide, and my purpose in life really is to support women who don't trust, who have fallen out of faith and grace, and with their intuition and their gut knowing that they can heal from trauma, that they can turn their trauma into Dharma and live a fulfilled, happy, abundant life, just being who they are, and really leaning into this nature of trusting that you're not alone, that you are co-creating with the divine or the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, whatever those energies are. And just look at how you can practice trust and feel into what does trust feel like or taste like or smell like to you, and how can you receive trust? Because I know that's one of my biggest lessons is to look at what is it that I don't trust. So it may show up as not trusting what I see, not trusting that people are here in a contributive way to me, not trusting that people are kind. And really what it comes back to in my internal dialogue of trust is that there's an aspect of me that I don't trust, and I love that. So I want you to play with looking at that this going on in your day or during your week, to look at what is the energy that you are not trusting or not loving that is actually required to move you forward in this idea or this plan, or your next action step, or your relationship or your family, whatever it is for you. Looking at what is it, and it might be doubt, it might be anxiety, it might be fear, it might be a mixture of all of it. It could be anger as a potency. But there's a lot of wisdom and fear in that place where your gut, when you're really practicing this work, and I don't think it ever changes, but when you start to speak to that place from loving whatever arises, and being in a place of kindness and compassion and very gentle self-care, like you would speak to a child, how can you start to look at what it is that is asking you to trust it? Because we have no idea what's going to come tomorrow. The only thing we get to choose to trust is that we are alive in this moment, and we are present in this moment. And when you get to get real clarity for yourself, and you start to exercise your divine right to trust that you're not alone, that you have support, that your body is there as your feedback, your horse. Let your horse lead you, and lean into those places that you're afraid to trust in yourself deep down, and just love them, because things don't always go the way that you want them to go. And this is where we go into questioning why is this happening? What does this mean? And sometimes it's, in fact, most of the time, it's not the why that we need to get in touch with. It's the trusting of ourselves to know that in this present moment is the now. And the wisdom in the past, whether it's fear or anxiety or whatever, or however it's showing up for you, is trusting that whatever is happening is exactly aligned with what you're asking for. And oftentimes it needs to be the opposite of what we're asking for, so that we know what it is that we want, so that we can hold our stake, and really anchor into the parts of us that are asking us to love and to trust. And just knowing that, things are happening that are much greater than we could ever imagine possible, and it's bigger than us. So when you start to know that the universe does have your back, when you start to know that it's greater than you, and you can start to trust beyond the why is this happening, or how, then you can start to get, eliminate or lessen, because fear doesn't really ever go away, but you get to start to lean more into trust and less into the worry and the existential fear and the control issues, or of how you think you need to control how things are showing up. And that's where you get real transformation. That's where it's very, very empowering. So just trust into yourself and look at what it feels like for you, because trust in any given moment, in any situation, for me feels different. There's a different energy on it, and there's a different resonance of that. So just take the mouse out of your mouth, and just know that whatever arises, you get to choose to trust that it is exactly what it needs to do, it needs to be, and that the universe has a huge, infinite source, abundant code that is so much bigger than your perception of what you think it is. So that's where you get out of the why. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope that was helpful. So wherever you are, hi Jody Friedman, just go deep down and love whatever is arising for you, and just know that if you kind of feel like your fires are burning, if you kind of feel like you're in adrenal burnout or fatigue, or you have too much fire going on in your body, let it burn out. Just trust that your body will burn it out. This is where we need to start trusting our bodies in Chinese medicine. If you have an angry rash, there is some boundary issue around anger that may have been broken, and maybe you've let your boundaries slip within yourself. So the only way your body gets to get you back into alignment with trusting that you're exactly where you need to be is to give you an angry rash, or just think about all the fire things, inflammation in the body, fibromyalgia. A lot of times it's betrayal, not just from our external environment, but where we have betrayed ourselves, where we haven't trusted our body or trusted that things are divinely coordinated for us, and we just get to tap into cosmic Google and order out whatever it is that we require by trusting in how can I hold myself in a greater space for divine to give me exactly what I need. So let the fire burn and use those ashes to rise up like the phoenix, because we're living in times where there's just so much opportunity. Everything is an asset to you. You are an asset being in my tribe, because together we can go so much further than apart. And I love you guys. I suddenly realized I have itchy spots looking like mosquito bites. Yeah, Theory. So I hope I said your name right. So yeah, so where are you pushing down anger because of fear of abandonment or rejection or being judged or feeling like you've been betrayed? Anger is a potency, and just as all the other emotions, it's giving us feedback all the time to tap into the wisdom of the lessons that are actually underneath it. So, even if you think about mosquito medicine as an animal totem, what do mosquitoes do? Because oftentimes we say, I don't know why God invented mosquitoes. They actually, they don't serve any purpose other than to irritate people and to suck blood. So, if they are bites of some kind, you might want to ask, look at your boundaries and see where perhaps you need to tighten up in your no's or in your yeses, and see where you are turning anger inward to let people be the energy vampires. Where are you leaking energy out or giving your power away to people that are literally sucking the life force energy of joy and vitality and abundance out of your life? So I hope that makes sense, and that might give you something to get curious about. We're given so many signs and symbols and little nudges, little God winks all the time to support us in knowing that we can trust that we are here for something greater than we could ever imagined our lives being, and that this is where we can get out of suffering, when we actually realize that we're each here to play our part and to be better than we were the day before. This is really where where we can start to lean into trusting that your voice matters, and that what you've come here to give, as only you can give, is so required on the planet right now. And as I'm talking to you, I can actually see people often. My mother used to say, I was kind of born with this big red mark, and and when I'm really in my joy, and when I'm really really tapped into divine consciousness, it kind of glows like a big red light in the middle of my third eye, and I don't. I used to be quite embarrassed about it, because my mother used to say, "Oh, I know you're crossed because you've got that red spot, that red dot in the middle of your head is glowing," which of course wasn't true. But this is how we learn to start being something that we're not, and feel like we're imperfect, and go into shame. And now I'm just rambling. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to know how you can deepen into this work and go into the shadows and look at the blind spots and get some more awareness on what's showing up in your body or your life, I have lots of great goodies coming up for you. We have Brave going on in Johannesburg. The next meetup, the action group, is happening on the 25th in Johannesburg, and that's really an opportunity for you to be in tribe and deepen into getting your action steps done, aligned action, where perhaps you've been afraid to take a step or mess it up. So hope that you mess it up. Love the part of you that thinks that you're going to screw up. Fail forward fast. Love that too, because there is no such thing as failure. Listen to the beautiful conversation consciousness that I had with Kimberly Lavelle. It's airing today. And I've got the Fibromyalgia Summit coming up, where I'm really going to talk more about how inflammation shows up as chronic fibromyalgia, ME, and all those kind of mystery diseases, and how you can change it by resolving adverse childhood experiences. And I am talking at the Health Body and Mind Expo out in Machalis on the 2nd of June. And that's really going to be a really interactive play of doing some of these experiential exercises to follow your body's impulse and release some of this tension in our bodies, and just follow the energy of joy. So let me know how your week is going. How I can support you in really deepening into the practice of trust and loving whatever arises, and how to get your work out in the world in a bigger way. And just remember, the world isn't waiting for someone like you. The world is waiting for you, and what only you have to give to the world. So know that you're loved. Love the parts of you that you're not loving right now. Deepen into compassion, and go already. What are you still doing here? I love you. Bye. Mwah.